In EastEnders, George Knight seeks reconciliation with his estranged son amid family turmoil. Meanwhile, Gloria Knight's actress, Elizabeth Council, is noted for her extensive TV and film career. Additionally, speculation arises about Dean Wick's departure following a murder twist involving Linda and the Six. Links with family spoilers for EastEnders suggest that George Knight contacts his estranged son. As his rage increases, George gets knocked down in another battle. George Knight chooses to take a significant step on EastEnders following conversations about his son, who has long been missing. Viewers of the BBC soap opera witnessed a heated altercation at the boxing den between Eddie, George's adoptive father, and Junior, George Jr., who goes by Junior, who is George's son and who is hardly mentioned or seen. With the recent disclosures of Eddie's vile racial behavior and his murder of George's biological father, tensions within the Knight family have never been higher. When George realized as a child that the horrible murder he had witnessed was actually his adoptive father killing his birth father, he was horrified. The revelation that his father was raised on a farm as a child finally prompted George to confront his father's bigotry, causing further shockwaves among the Knight family. Before Eddie's murder trial, George and Eddie had one more heated confrontation during which George was made fun of for not being present for his long-lost son. Although George has previously stated that he has a kid, not much else is known about him. But in the upcoming episodes, EastEnders viewers should finally learn more about Junior. Amidst the tumult in the family, George chooses to reach out to Junior in the moments that follow. When George answers the phone, Junior's voicemail greets him, and he realizes that he has some major family news to deal with. Not long after, George finds himself in an uncontrollably heated conversation with Eddie. George is at the lowest point of his emotions after failing to contact Junior and getting into another verbal altercation with Eddie. Amidst his own fatherly problems, George seems to have been rejected by his son. How will he handle this? His actions quickly cause everyone in the square to take notice, and Phil Mitchell tells George that he is concerned about the way he is acting. Then, defying Phil's advice and going to the boxing gym, George is pleaded with not to fight. Before long, he is rendered unconscious. Will George be able to survive the pain and suffering in his family? EastEnders Elizabeth Council's beloved twin, television spouse, and little-known Call the Midwife part, played by Gloria Knight. Actress Elizabeth Council, who arrived in Albert Square as Gloria Knight, has been central to a heartbreaking plot since then. Fans of EastEnders have been enthralled by TV great Elizabeth Council's depiction as Gloria Knight in the BBC soap opera. In December of last year, Elizabeth, 81, debuted on Albert Square with actor Christopher Fairbank, 70, who portrays her husband Eddie Knight in the film. George Knight, a former boxer, arrived in Walford in June 2023 with his daughters Gina and Anna. Gloria and Eddie are George's adoptive parents. After more than 10 years had passed since George last saw his adoptive parents, it was obvious that they were hiding something from him because their dramatic tale of baby farming had continued to unfold. But actress Elizabeth was already a television icon before she even set foot in Walford in her role as Gloria. Elizabeth has been in what? Elizabeth's most well-known role was as Veronica, the wife of Lionel Bainbridge, Gary Waldhorn, in the BBC sitcom Brush Strokes, which aired from 1986 to 1991. She began her acting career in 1968 at the Forum Theatre in Billingham, when she portrayed the title role in Michael Gambon's Macbeth. She also played a role in Peter Hall's Jean Seberg at the Royal National Theatre in 1983, and she was Michael Redgrave's leading woman in Shakespeare's People from 1976 to 1977. In addition to her current role in a soap opera, the actress has acted in numerous motion pictures, such as Hot Millions, 1968, End of the Thousand Days, 1969, Doctor at Sea, 1974, Under the Doctor, 1976, Killer's Moon, 1978, and Claudia, 1985. Her most recent movie performances are in the 2014 film Grace of Monaco with Nicole Kidman and the 2012 film Song for Marion starring Vanessa Redgrave. Prior to assuming her new position in EastEnders, she has a lengthy list of TV credits from shows like Doctors, Casualty, The Split, Unforgotten, Call the Midwife, and The Outlaws, as well as Channel 4's comedy drama Hollywood Hits Chiswick. Elizabeth Council from Call the Midwife was who? The BBC historical drama Call the Midwife has signed countless well-known personalities to feature in episodes since its 2012 premiere. Elizabeth made an appearance in Series 11 as a lady who had a tragic life. She played Mrs. Njall, an old widow who calls on the district nurse for assistance. Mrs. Njall is originally heard but not seen since she is unwilling to accept assistance out of embarrassment. "I'm not decent," she is heard uttering behind her bedroom door. A local scandal ensnaring both Mrs. Njall and her daughter Marigold Njall. A baby's body is found during renovations in a nearby home that the Njall family had occupied years before it turns out that the child's early death was caused by problems, and the body was concealed. Initially, it appears that Mrs. Njall concealed the child to avoid the embarrassment of being a widow. However, this proves not to be true. In the end, it is discovered that Marigold concealed the body because she had an unmarried child. Despite her limited appearances throughout the show, Mrs. Njall's condition is eventually revealed to be dementia. Despite having a little part, Elizabeth played a very emotional one. Who are Elizabeth's well-known relatives? The 81-year-old is the daughter of stage director John Council and actress Mary Carriage, who co-managed Windsor's Theatre Royal. Jenny Council, an actress, was Elizabeth's twin sister and passed away on May 23, 2020. Sergeant Cork, Six More Faces of Jim, and Lucy in London are among Jenny's well-known works. Elizabeth wed fellow actor David Simeon in the 1970s, and the couple had a son in 1979. David has starred in television shows like The Bill, Casualty, Doctor Who, Coronation Street as sales representative Bobby Simpson, and Doctor Who. He played Dougie Collins in a single EastEnders episode in October 2005. About the famous couple who avoid the spotlight for their family life, not much else is known. Will Dean be abandoning the East End? BBC soap teases a character's destiny in the midst of a murderous twist. Following months of actor Matt D'Angelo reprising his role on EastEnders, it appears like Dean Wicks may be quitting the BBC soap opera due to a fresh murder twist hinted to in a recent episode. As a result of the shocking revelation of Keanu Taylor's death, viewers of EastEnders are curious as to whether Dean Wicks will be departing the BBC soap opera. Residents of Walford were informed of Keanu's shocking death on Christmas Day after his body was discovered last week. Naturally, many locals were already aware of his actual fate, which involved the six in both his demise and the interment of his remains beneath the cafe's floor. After Keanu attempted to strangle Sharon Watts, Linda Carter used a meat thermometer to stab him to death. Along with Johnny Carter and Jack Branning, Suki Panesar, Denise Fox, Kathy Beale, and Stacey Slater covered up the crime and buried the body. However, there were indications of a significant departure in the most recent episode that were not disclosed in spoilers. Could Dean be leaving the program permanently in the midst of his scheme to escape Walford with his daughter Jade and then running the risk of being falsely accused? Linda was terrified that she would at last be held accountable for her crime, but it seems the six had other plans. However, in typical soap opera fashion, Stacey and Linda saw a heated dispute between Dean and Harvey Monroe before Dean confessed to tampering with his daughter Jade's prescription. Linda intervened when Dean, who is secretly preparing to move to America with Jade, became aggressive, and Linda courageously confronted her rapist. "Any decent person would have the courage to face up to what they've done," Linda stated. "Oh, give it up, Linda, like you gave it up back then," evil Dean shot back. Dean threatened to leave Albert Square tomorrow, saying, "Can't touch me, any of you," while Linda was surrounded by her loved ones. Harvey vented to Stacey as the arrogant Dean left, saying, "Where's the justice?" and pointing out that men like that never get caught and may continue to torture women. Stacey was given some food for thought by this, and later on, when Linda was getting ready to turn herself in, Kathy disclosed that they were actually preparing Dean. Then it showed Stacey getting ready to plant the murder weapon in Dean's apartment. Watchers will have to wait and see if the women actually frame Dean and if the scheme succeeds, but might this be the character's final goodbye? Please subscribe our channel.